Good evening, everyone. This evening, I welcome you to the second night of a series of panel discussions regarding women and race. I am Erica McGowan, the grant writer and facilitator for Girl, Let's Talk. On behalf of the Carbondale Branch NAACP, this presentation has been made possible through a grant from the Southern Illinois Community Foundation in conjunction with the Chicago Community Trust. The Southern Illinois Healing Grant has been established to promote understanding, trust, relationships, and unity in the Southern Illinois community and beyond. For those of you who are new and just tuning in tonight, joining us again this evening are Miss Yolanda Dean. There she is. Known as Miss Yolanda, she was born and raised within the inner city limits of Chicago, Illinois, and received her bachelor's degree from Southeast Missouri State University in Cape Girardeau, and received both of her master's degrees from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. She has been a senior lecturer at SIUC for over 15 years. Everyone welcome Ms. Yolanda. Our next panelist is Nancy Maxwell. Nancy has been both a rape crisis medical legal advocate and rape crisis counselor at the Women's Center for almost 10 years. She ran the Women's Empowerment Group at the Irma C. Hayes Center in Carbondale for many years with few resources. That's a feat. Nancy has been fighting for social justice for over a decade in Southern Illinois. In 2020, Nancy was a recipient of WSIU's Neighborly Award and the Centerstone Community Champion Award. She was the first Black female officer in Mounds, Illinois. She is also the Criminal Justice Chair for the Carbondale NAACP branch and Director of Carbondale United, and a founding member of Southern Illinois Unity Coalition. Everyone, please welcome Nancy Maxwell. Next, we have Miss Emerald Avril. Born in Chicago, Illinois, raised in Carbondale, Emerald is the 31-year-old mother to her son, who is affectionately known as Bo Miles. An award-winning activist in her community, she is co-founder of the Southern Illinois Unity Coalition organization. Emerald is also a recent graduate of the Kaskaskia College Nail Tech program. She is dedicated to beautifying the world through her music, podcasts, and the beauty industry. She is striving to use her gifts to touch the world. Everyone welcome Miss Emerald Avril. Next, we have Miss Alessandra Nicholson. Alessandra was born and raised in Carbondale, Illinois, where she began her career in healthcare by becoming a sterile processing technician. After advancing her career as a supervisor, she began traveling across the country and building a career in SPD management. With 14 years in her field, she has worked in a wide range of corporate healthcare setting, ranging from private, public, and Catholic-based facilities. She currently works for UMass Healthcare, which is based in Boston, and has recently started a healthcare consuming agency, Candre Institute of SPD, and will be opening a sterile processing training facility in Carbondale to advance African Americans within the healthcare industry. How fabulous. Let's give it up for Miss Alessandra Nicholson, homegirl. All right. Last but not least, in observation and on standby is licensed professional clinical counselor Pamela K. Williams of the Hope and Healing Center in the Chicagoland area. As a licensed clinical professional counselor, it's a mouthful, With 23 years of experience in the behavioral health field, she earned her master's degree at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. Pamela has worked as an assessor, counselor, family therapist, manager, and director at a variety of different agencies across the Chicagoland area. She specializes in trauma, anxiety, depression, and addiction counseling. She is the sole owner of the Hope and Healing Center. She's truly compassionate about assisting people with addressing their issues and reaching a level of individualized stability. Welcome, Ms. Pamela Williams. All right. So as we get started, I want all of my panelists to take a deep breath and just get ready. So I welcome everyone who is joining us again as we begin our dialogue this evening. Okay, I'm going to have a little swig of water here. Last evening, I introduced the thought to begin with that Black women in predominantly white communities often go unheard on a daily basis. Common microaggressions, politics at work, in the classroom, interactions while out in the world, and many other instances fuel the issue of race and gender. Efforts and rights are many times overlooked, and Black women personally do not have to be validated by society, but certainly must be heard and taken seriously. Because of these things, Black women have been forced to carve out a place for themselves and to create their own spaces. Black women are creators, thinkers, doers. Much like Shaka Khan's 1978 hit, "Give it to the Black woman and it will be done," because she is every woman. So tonight's discussion is based on the much heralded Lemonade album by Beyonce. Now, before I go any further, I have to give a disclaimer here. While I am I believe I'm a fan of Beyonce, but I will say this: I don't believe in everything that she says or does, okay? But I do think that her Lemonade album is worthy of discussion because it smacks of Black feminism, it smacks of Black culture, and so I wanted to give an ode to her. And in honor of Miss B tonight, I have my my B bracelet on, so I got the Queen B jewelry on this evening as we discuss this. So anyway, so we're going to talk about this album and understanding the message of her album, which was groundbreaking because it's the first of its kind. Lemonade is a visual and audio statement of Black womanhood, sisterhood, and a very strong pronouncement of Black life, with a heavy emphasis on social justice in particular. It also speaks of love, marriage, heartbreak, forgiveness, hope, and healing. Chapter and verse, its parts are intellectual, artistic, and philosophical. Based on the aforementioned, the album is divided into the following chapters: intuition, denial, anger, apathy, emptiness, accountability, reformation, forgiveness, resurrection, hope, and redemption. Each deal with the emotional toll that it took upon B as she dealt with Jay-Z's infidelity and the world around her as a Black woman. Beyonce brought the heat as she aligned and immersed herself in her cultural identity, Black. Along with her marital pain, she embraced the pain that comes with the consequence of slavery and its aftermath, the always familiar injustice that never seems to die. And despite it, there is still hope. To demonstrate the duality of Black excellence and Black suffering, she has a bevy of accomplished and beautiful Black women on tap to demonstrate what Black is. Serena Williams, pro tennis player, some say the greatest of all time. Leah Chase, activist and restaurateur who is no longer with us, but down in New Orleans, she made a mighty impact. Leah was everything. Amanda Stenberg, another Black actress who is one to watch and who is an activist. Winnie Harlow, a Canadian supermodel who has vitiligo. Chloe and Halle, the duo that were discovered from YouTube, and I think Beyonce had something to do with them. Miss Zendaya, who is now she's an Academy Award-winning young Black actress who took on Juliana Ransel from E! For saying that while she was on the red carpet, she was sure that her dress must smell like weed. So she took her to task. And so Juliana got put in her place. Also, Beyonce had on tap Naomi Diaz and Lisa Kainde, two Afro-Cuban twins who sing their songs in Yoruban language. So they're very interesting. Ava Clark, a young albino actress. Also, and I love ballerinas, Michaela de Prince, a Black ballerina with the Dutch Ballet Company. Gwendolyn Carr, who is the mother of Eric Garner, which, very significant, very significant. Then she had Sabrina Fulton, the mother of Trayvon Martin. She also had Leslie McSpadden, the mother of Michael Brown from the incident in Ferguson. Then she had Kwabazane Wallace. Kwabazane was in Annie and an African feature film. And so she brought out all of these beautiful Black people in all their resplendence to show us and demonstrate who we are as women. So, as we explore the theory of feminism and womanism, or to be a womanist, we will address what it means to be Black and a woman in today's society. So first, let's talk about womanism and feminism. I don't really like calling you all. I prefer it if you just, answer if you want to answer, and you'll be featured, and we'll do it like that because I think it's a little bit more natural. So first question of the evening is, what is white feminism? What do you think is white feminism?
To me, white feminism is based in white supremacy. Even if you do a little research and you look into Planned Parenthood, for example. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with Planned Parenthood today, but when abortions and all that stuff originally became popular within our country, it was with the intention on exterminating our race, or at least, I don't know how to say it. What's the word for it? At least lessening our population, for lack of a better term. So, because of that, I really don't call myself a feminist. I just see myself more as a humanist. I'm just here for people in general, especially Black people. So I just feel like, it's more so for them. It has nothing to do with us, the word feminism, and just the women's suffrage movement, things of that nature. it was something that was made for them. So that's how I've always looked at feminism.
Excellent answer, Emerald. I did read a quote today that said, white feminism is, and of course, that's someone's opinion, but it's a quote. White feminism is white supremacy in heels, is what it said. Very interesting. So that you would answer that in that manner. Anyone else want to
I would
tackle?
agree with that statement that white feminism is white supremacy in heels. I agree with Emerald. I feel like my relationship with feminism in the general, like even when we're talking about things like the Me Too movement, the way that white feminism kind of co-opted something that started with Black and brown women, it's generally, from a historical standpoint, been an opportunity for white women to assimilate to the same level of power as a white man. So where we were all without our rights and only the white man had the right to vote and own property and make money, the white woman, just like everyone else, wanted to have equal rights. And that's where that movement began. And in the beginning, like Emma was saying, it also meant excluding Black people because at that time, but both Black or white women and white men felt that Black people were not worthy, not intelligent enough, should be owned as property, should not be allowed to thrive and prosper. So I think for today, as it's fast forward, I think more white women are starting to open up to have those lines include other people and other intersections. But I don't think enough is being done. So in general, I don't identify with it.
Okay.
I am slightly in a different boat.
Go ahead.
Only because I was taught that feminism in its beginning, in its roots, was white women who wanted to exercise their freedoms. They wanted to be equal to their white counterparts, so their white men. But they realized very quickly that their movement wasn't processing or progressing as quickly as they wanted it to until they included us into it. And so at that point, it was like, whoa, well, you needed us to get your movement done. And then you kind of tried to leave us by the side. So that's where I'm at with that. But the word itself has always, from its origin, just not been defined clearly enough for me. So when people ask, hey, are you a feminist? I'm like, yep. And they'd be like, well, what does that mean? It means I want the right to choose to live my life the way I want to live it. If I want to be a mother, then I want to be a mother. If I want to be a working woman, then I want to be a working woman. I don't want someone else defining to me what box I have to live in.
Okay.
Especially a male.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. My next question is, what is your idea about being a Black feminist?
I think I just told you that part. And it's just, I don't want someone to look down on me because they don't like the choices that I make. Again, if I want to be a mother of 5, that's my right to make that decision for me and myself. If I don't want to be a mother, if I want to be a career woman, that's my right to make that decision for my life. When I was younger, it was, you go to school not necessarily to get an education, but you go to school to meet a good man and get married. It's like, whoa, why does that have to define my life? Why can't I go to school and learn something and then do something with what I learned? But, so that's where it was for me.
Okay. Anyone else? What is your idea of being a Black feminist?
For me, I think I'd go back to that humanist statement that Emerald made. But I feel like Black feminism right now, one, for Black women, I don't think it's optional. If you're going to walk outside as a Black woman, you have to prioritize protecting yourself. You have to be hyper vigilant of the people you deal with. So for me, Black feminism is all of my attempts to be seen as equal and whole, to be protected like the whole, and to have the same opportunities. I mean, when we talk about disparities, usually Black women are at the bottom rung of whatever we're talking about. So if it's pay, if it's health outcomes, if it's ownership, the Black woman is often last. And then in the spaces where we excel, we get forgotten. Like the fact that we are the hottest group of entrepreneurs right now. Nobody's really talking about it. But meanwhile, jobs are crashing, businesses are going down, but Black women are getting it done. But you don't see that as a primary conversation. Or places like Simone Biles, how they kind of blew over the fact that she just won more first medal prizes. And you look at Sports Illustrated and all of the articles about the men that lost their titles. So it's just always an erasure of us. So for me, Black feminism means being Black out loud every chance I get, whether that's by me reminding people of my history or the clothes that I wear or the way I carry myself. But I make sure that when I'm in corporate spaces, especially, Black people see me in my leadership role and they see me being Black. I'm not changing my voice. I'm not, skipping and jumping around to make them comfortable. We're just being our excellent selves and they can stay mad.
Right. I definitely want to agree with her. But even beyond that, it's still on subject, but I just wanted to say that sexism is a big problem in the Black community, even outside of the media, white supremacy, whatever. It's a problem within our own community, just because the society is sexist and has been for so long. And that's why so many women have so many Me Too stories, whether it be from when they was a child or an adult. So I feel like it's necessary to advocate for yourself and other women. But to be honest, being a Black feminist and being there for Black women is hard. On the one hand, I'm a very bubbly, cheerful person. So when I'm outside, if I'm in that mood before mask, pre-mask, I'm smiling. Most Black women give me the same energy back because that's the energy I put out. But on a personal level, day-to-day basis, I feel like we need to work on our relationships with each other as Black women, not women in general, but we're talking about us. So stop viewing each other as competition just because, because I've dealt with, oh, you bougie, you stuck up, you always want to argue, whatever case may be. You think you all that, and it's like, you don't even know me. I'm actually sweet as pie, and I have been since the day I was born. So I love y'all. I'm here for Black women, but I feel like we have a lot of work to do, a lot of accountability to hold ourselves to assert a better standard, not necessarily be respectful, but for ourselves. Because when you look good and you go outside and you feel good, when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you're good, period. So that's how I feel about the subject.
Have any of you all ever heard of intersectionality?
No.
Okay, well, a Black American law professor coined that term in 1989. So she says that, her name is Kimberly Crenshaw. Ms. Crenshaw says that intersectionality, but more so being an intersectional feminist or feminism, is a prism for seeing the way in which various forms of inequality often operate together and exacerbate each other. All inequality is not created equal. Okay, so when I want to stop right here and say that I know, we're talking about us as Black women, but we're talking about us as Black women and our dealings with white women. So the conversations about us and us, we need to have those, yes. But I kind of want us to stay, and this is not a thing where, we're out to get them. Remember yesterday I said, we're just trying to show ourselves, show who we are. And yes, those are very worthy and valid things that we need to discuss. This is why I said this is a really good platform, because, you know, this could lead to those discussions. Not that they're not already happening around the United States, I'm sure they are. But anytime you can discuss something, it's like having a think tank. You can discuss stuff, you can bounce it around, you can see what one person has went through and another person has went through. And then you can kind of understand things a lot better, and then maybe even be strategic about how you deal with other people and situations. Miss Yolanda.
So in saying that, I was thinking about this today, and we're going to not necessarily protect the innocent, but we're not going to mention names. I was in a training. I was being hired. I had already did the interview. I had already been offered the position. So I was in a room with some Caucasian women, some Caucasian men, and maybe one or two African-American men. This is what the trainer said, my new boss. He was going over the dress code for this position. And in the dress code, he had a section for women only. And it basically said, whenever you show up to work, you must have on a full face. So I raised my hand and I was like, what does that mean? And he basically said, you were not allowed to come to work without makeup. So I was looking like, wait a minute. And I'm vocal. So I told him, I say, I don't wear makeup. I never wear makeup. And I'm not going to wear makeup for this position. And he looked me in my face and he was just as serious. And he was like, well, you're cute as you are. This was really written for white women because some of them are scary without their makeup on. And I was just thinking, if this is the message you're sending to them, and this is the message you're saying to them, then why are we shocked when they repeat that message and send it back out to others to say, well, you need to do this and you need to do that because that's what you're doing to. No, I don't like this policy at all. I don't like it. We need to get rid of it. And they did eventually take it out of the dress code. But I was just like, wow, how many other companies have policies like this? Are we really reading this stuff that we're signing? Are we allowing this to go on in 2021? Are we serious right now? And so that bothered me. It bothered me a lot. And I wasn't happy until they got rid of it. And when they got rid of it, I was okay. But I was just like, that was just one company. How many other companies have policies and codes like this one?
That's absolutely, that is just, I don't have any words for that. That's ridiculous. You know, you can't come unless you have your face done. No. Now, everybody has the right to represent themselves how they represent themselves. So, okay, I'm the facilitator. I'm not supposed to be.
I want to piggyback on what Yolanda said, a particular point about if this is what they're saying to them, then my God, no wonder why they're saying this to us. And there's this concept called lateral violence, where when someone is attacked, if they are not in a position of power that they can attack the other person and defend themselves, what they often will do is they will let that aggression out on someone else that they are in a power position over. So we see that happen all the time in workspaces, school spaces, kind of the bullying comes from. But it's just kind of looping in the conversation from last night that if all of our race relations started with African people being enslaved and owned, then Black women and Black men are always in this powerless position when it comes to the white man and the white woman. And then if the white man was coveting the Black woman throughout that entire experience, what messaging did she get about herself? And what messaging has she internalized about the Black woman? And how do we tease that out now when we're generations down the line, and white women especially have had the opportunity to not be connected to that history at all, where we've carried it down through our grandmothers and we've been told and we've been socialized to protect ourselves. They've not been socialized to believe in themselves, so much so that they have enough self-esteem that they're not having a need to be in competition with us.
Excellent.
Surprised nobody has brought up how an overwhelming amount of white women voted for Trump. And just how weird that is, obviously because of what he was saying and what was exposed. But also just to piggyback off of Miss Yolanda, when I was in school just now, we were required to wear makeup every single day. And it was a school that my teacher was a white woman. And it was a mostly white environment. And it was just so weird. It was said that it was part of professionalism. But I had to voice my opinion and disagree. I mean, I wear makeup, but if I don't want to wear makeup one day,
yeah, I thought
I
that
should be,
really
you know what I'm saying? And then we would get penalized for it if we did not. So, and then, so I would show up every day with makeup, my makeup done to the T. I didn't get no extra points for how I dressed or no makeup. So I just, I don't appreciate that. I don't feel like that's right. But, for a lot of people in their culture, they do feel like makeup is necessary, it's professional, whatever the case may be. That is something that is popular in their culture.
Yes.
I never knew this.
Yes,
you all are telling me
it's
I
all
never knew.
just all of it goes
my
back
teacher
to
was like,
respectability
never leave the house. I'm sorry, Alessandra. My teacher was like, once you graduate and you become a nail tech or your cosmetologist or whatever, you're never supposed to leave the house without your face on. Like, what? Are you crazy? Like, Black women, I don't know, we different. We don't really wear makeup like that. Like my generation and younger, we've started to get into makeup, but for the most part, like, my mom really didn't wear makeup. My sister really didn't, so I don't know. That is a big difference. And I do feel like it has something to do with the men, because Black men don't like makeup like that. They just want to see you in your beauty. If you got long natural hair, they want to see your hair. They don't want weave, makeup. They don't want none of that extra stuff. But I don't know. I can't speak for white men, but that's what seems to go on in their culture.
Wow. Okay. Well, I have learned a lot from this little conversation. So, who can tell me what Black feminism is not?
It's not telling other Black women how they should live their life.
Okay. Look at Alessandra.
It's not supporting R. Kelly. It's not supporting R. Kelly.
Oh, not Ira. You brought up Ira.
I mean, technically, he doesn't own his music, so you can listen to it, but not in public at barbecues and stuff like that, birthday parties, weddings. Let's just stop it, because you're not supporting your fellow Black women. I don't care if you felt like they wanted it or not. They were children. Your mind doesn't even finish developing before 26. So even if you feel like a baby is grown at 18, 17, 16, 15, guess what? Scientifically, they are not. So, we need to start showing solidarity to each other and stand with each other. So, no, let's stop it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think it is not protecting anyone else but us. And especially when you talked about intersectionality, I think within the Black female circle, what it is making sure that we don't allow people to forget folks like Black trans women, fat Black women, older Black women, folks that we, are kind of pushed to the side. So it's not being concerned about anybody but Black women. And in that sense, the lowest among us, to lift them up the highest.
All right. Wonderful. Well, when I asked the question about what's your idea of being a Black feminist, there are a couple of things that are key to Black feminism. Black feminism will always criticize the power structure, and that power structure is privilege, but it's also the marginalization of us. So just remember those two things, because they're important. So the differences exist woman to woman, culturally, socioeconomically, etc. We could go on and on and on. So I guess I wanted to ask the question, what are some of the ways that we could work within those different sub groupings that I just named to, I guess, make things better for Black women?
So for me, it's hard because they tell us, okay, they say, this is the rules to the game. Go to school, get a degree, and then you can make the big bucks. Well, we have studies that show that African-American women as a group is the largest group of educated people. Most African-American women have a degree, some type of college degree and or beyond. But yet we don't make that type of money that should match that type of education. So that's the part that keeps tripping me up. Because now they're like, well, you don't even need the degrees anymore. We're just going to hire everybody and train within. And it's like, whoa, wait, that is not how you said we were playing the game. How are you going to change the rules now that we got this education and a lot of us have the debt to go with it, but now you don't want to pay us the money that goes with the education.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Very true. Very true.
That whole pulling of the rug thing happens all the time.
Yes,
Speaking from a career based, not within a 4-year degree. So all of my career is based in certifications. I'm a certified registered sterile processing technician. I'm a certified healthcare leader and a certified instrument specialist. And when you come into these jobs, they spend like the first 2 weeks training you on all the policies, all the rules. And I often find that for me, the rules get changed all the time. So if I'm given a start time, maybe in a couple of months, my boss will want me to come later. And then I start coming later and then they're saying, well, you weren't here at this time. Or maybe I pick up some additional responsibilities. And if I say I'm overwhelmed, then well, that's your job. If my counterpart, my white peer counterpart says that she's overwhelmed, her hours are reduced, she's allowed to take PTO, she's allowed to do half days. There's all these just accommodations. And then when you voice those concerns, say, well, what's going on here? It's, oh, you're argumentative, you're combative, you have a problem. So I've gone from having stellar performance reviews, and then if I bring up a complaint where I feel like I'm not being treated equally, I've been suspended in the same month. So it's always like you never know what the real rules are. And then when I see other Black leaders come in, Black female leaders, a lot of times even my staff will come to me and say, oh, she has an attitude. But when I speak to the women, they're like, no, I've done this so many times. I don't care anymore. I come in, I do my job, I go home. Because it doesn't matter if I do it well, if I do it poorly, if I show up late, if I show up on time, they're not going to be satisfied with me.
Wow. Anyone else want to offer a thought regarding that? How we can work to help one another, I guess.
I mean, she spoke of the degrees, but we also are the leading demographic on entrepreneurs. So we just have to keep empowering ourselves. I'm all for, building our own communities, not separating ourselves completely from other races, but just empowering ourselves, much like all the other races have, where they go and it's a whole family and they all put their money that they just worked for at another job. They all living together so they can save all their money. And then they go open up their own restaurant and they all working there and they get all the tips and all the revenue. Just like the Asians with the beauty supply stores and nail shops. You have a lot of Black nail techs. My first job that I haven't started, but I'm about to job, is a Black-owned salon by a Black woman. We have to advocate for each other, support each other, lift each other up. When you get in a position of power, don't forget what it feels like to be a Black woman in America. Reach back and lift somebody else up. I believe in mentorship. Find you a younger girl to mentor if you're in that space in life. And even if you're not, sometimes that'll pull you out of whatever darkness you're going through. Find your own self a mentor, somebody that you can listen to and look up to them and take what they have to say at face value. So, I mean, our solutions as a community as a whole is financial literacy, financial freedom, generational wealth. Do it for your family, not just for yourself. Like they say in sports, you're not playing for the name on the back of the jersey, you're playing for the name on the front. So,
all right, little sister. Okay.
Can I add something?
Yes, please do.
I think also just engaging in activism and that collective activism, and standing up for the rights of others with our ethnicity and hue, and not just being silent. I've seen so many times where people just don't want to express their opinion or don't want to share in fear of being lumped into some form of regime that seems rebellious, well, we need to stand up and we need to say something. I don't keep my mouth shut. I may be meek and quiet or have a style or a way of approaching a situation, but I'm not going to be quiet. You see something, you say something. And I think that's part of what we have to do for one another. I think sometimes it frightens my family members because I'll be outside in the hood advocating for others, and maybe even in situations that may be deemed dangerous. I'm just not going to cower or stand by. I will be Harriet Tubman. I will be Sojourner Truth. I will channel my inner Malcolm X and Martin. I'm going to channel it all, and encouraging each other to channel those forefathers and foremothers of change. It's in us. It is who we are, and we need to start bringing it out of each other.
Thank you. That's one of the reasons why I chose to lead this with Sojourner, because she's like the mother of Black feminism. You do realize that we've been feminists all along amongst ourselves because we've always had to do things to take care of things. And we've always had to stand up and champion for ourselves. So we've been this all along, really. And I chose her because that's what she did. And as part of being on the panel, you'll be receiving a really nice package that has, some really nice things in it. And so I'm not going to give it away, but you'll be happy. So as I was researching this topic, I wanted to be able to have a clearer understanding regarding the difference between womanism, feminism, being that womanism is family oriented and focuses on race, class, and gender, while feminism is female oriented and strictly focuses on biological sex related issues of women and girls globally. Okay, and then on top of that, there's the term womanist, which was coined by author and activist Alice Walker, one of our brilliant writers of the day. Within her 1982 publication, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, Womanist Prose, in addition to celebrating all women, womanists place special focus on issues specific to Black women, men, and families. So these are the descriptions, that I gathered as I was researching, because I don't know it all, but I do know enough that I need to research and I need to learn too. So the following is a quote by Angela Davis. She said, I believe this is 1992, she said, "I rarely talk about feminism in the singular. I talk about feminisms with an S. And even when I myself refused to identify with feminism, I realized that it was a certain kind of feminism. That feminism was a feminism of those women who weren't really concerned with the equality of all women." So there you go. And that's Dr. Angela Davis, August the 5th. Yes, 2019. So this is a statement by one of our most prolific civil rights activists on feminism. Despite different visions, a few foundational principles do exist among Black feminisms. Okay, listen to this. Black women's experience of racism, sexism, and classism are inseparable. They exist all at once, all at the same time. Their needs and worldviews are distinct from those of Black men and white women. There's no contradiction between the struggle against racism, sexism, and all other isms. So anything else that you could think of, there's no contradiction. All of them must be addressed simultaneously. So in other words, I wrote, this suggests that they are singular in nature, meaning all together. So, all right. I love the precursor to what we're going to talk about now. So tonight's session segments: commonalities, there's more than meets the eye, and differences, the strength from which we pull. So commonalities, there's more than meets the eye. I'm sure that we will all agree that all women love, nurture, beautify, enhance, enjoy or cook food, embody strength, have relationships, are creative, and share emotions. Seemingly, we are the same. The pain of a cheating spouse or lover is felt commonly. And this is what Ms. B was talking about. The joy of motherhood, personal achievements, and accomplishments, these are all experiences that we share. So let's explore the sameness. Okay, first question is, do you have a good girlfriend that's white? Why or why not?
So it was a little quiet, I guess, huh?
Well, I was trying to think, do I? Wait a minute, I associate with a lot of people, but do I call them girlfriends? For me, I do not.
Good girlfriend.
Right, I'm gonna say no. And you said, why not?
I said, why or why not?
Well, at this point, I mean, it just didn't really happen for me. I spend most of my day around a mixture of people, but at the end of the day, I don't know, at the end of the day, when I'm relaxed or when I'm just hanging out, I hang out mostly with people that look like me. I might have to look into that. I have associates that are white, you know, I just don't have a good girlfriend that's white. Don't know. Never thought about it.
Okay. Do you have a good girlfriend that's white? Why or why not?
No, ma'am. I do not. I had several as a child and coming up through high school. I would say into my mid-20s is when I let the last one go that I would have considered to be a very close friend.
It changed.
And it changed. After a while, it was just some of the comments, you just couldn't explain it anymore. You couldn't educate anymore. It became uncomfortable because it's almost like walking on landmines. You never knew when something was gonna slide out, that they didn't mean that way, or, you know, just some derogatory comment, and having to always be the person to be in a position to educate got exhausting. I didn't find I wanted to deal with it anymore. Like Yolanda said, I have a lot of acquaintances now, but no one that I feel is close. And I also feel like, especially because of the amount of time that I spend digesting and processing my experience as a Black woman, just in my everyday conversation, it would make a white best friend as a woman really uncomfortable if she wasn't in a space where she was really highly educated about race relations and about how women are treated, Black women are treated right now in the world.
Okay. Nancy, you've been awful quiet tonight.
Yeah. I do. I won't say I have a good white friend. I got a woke white friend. And I
Okay.
don't have to explain stuff to. I say, oh my God, don't touch my hair. Don't do this. Don't. I got woke friends that are white and allies.
Okay. And you feel that you would trust her with your family, anything that you have. She is your good friend. Okay.
Yeah.
Miss Yolanda, what were you getting ready to say?
I was going to tell you, I did have one back in the day.
Okay.
And when I tell you, we were close, we were close. And what happened was she would drag me all over the world because I love to travel. So we would go everywhere. Usually all the places we went, I was the only person of color. So finally I was like, hey, this time I'm taking you with me and we're going to Chicago. We're going to the west side of Chicago.
Uh-oh.
When I tell you the fear that came over her face, and she was like, well, I'm going to be safe. I mean, am I going to be attacked? And I was like, well, how do you think I feel when we go to all those places you take me to? And it was then that she realized that, well, maybe this isn't a fair friendship. And I think that was the last time I invested in a multicultural friendship like that. It was just like, oh, because she was literally terrified. I mean, and she was safe. She's still safe. She's still living today. But she was shaking and she could not control it. She was physically frightened. And it was like, but why? Like I was like, if you're afraid of them and you don't even know, are you afraid of me too? Like, what is really going on? And it just kind of, that's what ended our friendship. She couldn't handle the west side of Chicago.
Well, I'm going to step out of my facilitator role here and say, coming down here to Southern Illinois from the west side of Chicago, born and raised, Flournoy and Holman. Listen, when I got here, just like a different world, this was a different world. So on my job as an assistant librarian, the head librarian used to say to me, oh, we need to go here and there. And one of the places is Midland Inn. I'm just going to say it. And I was just absolutely terrified. I said, I will never go in there. Don't you know that there are places that Black people can't go? Are you aware that we have limitations here? We can't just go everywhere. And like, for real, as a Black girl, I mean, you know, all the femininity, all of the things that we need to be protected from, you know, that they often feel only pertains to them. Well, I'm looking at myself like, I can't go there because the thought of that really frightens me. I saw the outside of it. It looked like only white people went in there. And I told her, do you know there are places that we can't even be when the sun goes down? Are you aware of this? I don't know why this is because I just don't see color. And I was like, how can you not see color? So, you know, there are these disparities and there are these differences that occur. And, you know, because the basic tenet of that is that we have families, we have people that love us just as much. We have special places, you know, special people, you know, that love and care about us too. And so we need to be protected. So, you know, she had to learn that with me. And so that was just one conversation that I had. But, you know, I felt like I had to say it because she just didn't understand. Alessandra?
I'm so glad you said that, especially about Southern Illinois, because growing up in Southern Illinois was a very unique racist experience because you're not exactly in the South, so it's not super overt, but you might as well be. And Carbondale is like this special little gem because of the school. So you have people coming in, different ethnicities. But if you step 2.5 seconds outside of Carbondale, the towns are white, 98%, 99% Caucasian. And so as soon as you pass through Carbondale city limits, you can feel a difference in how you're looked at, how you're spoken to, whether or not you get spoken to, whether or not you get service. Like there's plenty of restaurants that we've tried to eat in like Carterville and Cobden and Anna, and it's like, they're like, who, why are you here? How dare you be here? And then furthermore, as a student, we had Carbondale Community High School. So all those smaller schools fed into us. And a lot of times it was those students' first time being in a close proximity to Black people. So the students themselves struggled a lot with how to be our friends, how to hang out with us, because you couldn't go home because their grandparents were racist. My cousins had a family that lived across the street from us. One of my cousins, they're twins, and one has dark skin and one has light skin. And one day they both went outside, and the dark skinned one came back across the street, and she said that their grandmother wouldn't let her in. And so they were 6. So trying to explain to 2 twins why one was allowed and one wasn't, one was clean and one was dirty. Like growing up in Carbondale was kind of wild.
Yeah. So we we have to keep those things in mind. And part of these questions are designed so that, some truth can be told about things, not to just be inflammatory, but to be real. There's a reason why you don't have a good white girlfriend. That doesn't mean you can't.
Right.
Because that would be doing to them what they do to us.
Right.
But given the right opportunities, why not? Because as humanists, we're all people.
I met a lady just recently, a Caucasian woman who I work with in the field. We're both at a private practice, and she asked me if she could talk to me after we had a meeting. And she's always wanted to be closer with an African-American woman, but doesn't know how to move in that territory. And she said, I feel very uncomfortable and awkward because I don't want to come off as being offensive, or if I ask a question, be, offending anyone. And she at least had the bravery, and the courage to approach the situation. And so we've developed a friendship of sorts. I don't know that I would say a good friend yet, but it's a relationship that's developing.
It's a start.
It's a start. But I also feel like sometimes I don't want to be put in the position of being your token Black friend.
Of course.
I don't want to be in that position either. Like, oh, I have a Black friend, so I'm not racist. And that's always kind of been an area of discomfort for me as well. And even many people who have no clue how I was brought up, and because I am as woke as I am, don't know that I grew up in a white household or any of those things. They don't even realize why I am who I am. But I still, just because my parents were Caucasian and all my siblings and all my family members, I still didn't have white friends. I still gravitated towards friendships with African-American women. I don't know why that is, but I still feel there was a lot of elements of discomfort or distrust on both of our parts.
And that's what I brought up from the very beginning. Trust is a big part of things. So, Emerald.
I have been friends with white girls throughout my life. I grew up playing sports, and I guess you could call me popular, whatever. My experience has been pretty up and down. When I was a little girl, I had a girl that was my friend in school. She wanted to be my friend outside of school. And I was like, oh, we can't be friends because you're white. And I feel, to this day, I still feel bad about that. But when we went to high school, I apologized to her, and we and her just laughed. We did end up hanging out. We didn't become like super close. But she's one of the few rare ones that I still follow on social media. She's woke. She's an amazing girl. Shout out to Katie Legan. But I just felt so bad because I'm like, why did I, but kids, we go to the extreme when we know about stuff. So, but then like when I got to high school, growing up in Carbondale was weird because the Black girls really didn't like me. So I was just kind of like by myself basically. But when I became popular, whatever, got to high school, whatever the case may be, played basketball, I did meet a girl that's my friend to this day. We're not like super close. Sometimes she'll post stuff on social media and I'll be like, I don't, I didn't have some people inbox me like, what is she, you know what I'm saying? Is that still your friend? I'm just like, I love her from a distance, because much like Alessandra was explaining, it's like they come from these racist families, or even if their families aren't racist, maybe they're like racist in the way that they play into white supremacy, whatever the case may be. Once they hit their 20s, it just becomes weird, even right out of high school, I still, because Carbondale, like she said, we would all be together, party together, Kiki, be in class. I was always the Black girl that was in the fast track classes, so I was always in class with the white people. So they always wanted me to come to their parties, but it's so out of high school. I still would hang out with them, but then like social media was a thing 10 years ago too, 10, 13 years ago. And one of my favorite people, he wasn't a woman, but he was a white guy. He pretty much broke my heart because they already was showing you a little bit of it when Obama ran my senior year in high school. And then it's like they couldn't even help themselves once they were out of high school, and then they go to college and they're around white people just like them with privilege and money. They go to then you see the schools they pick, like Old Miss, like what? Why would you want to go there? Like you love Black people? No, they don't. So it's weird. It's like you like you said, Miss McGowan. You feel like you can't trust them. You feel like, are we even really friends? Like, do you even you think about the times their parents would give you rides back from sporting events because maybe your parents couldn't pick them up, and you're like, wow, they parents was low-key racist the whole time. Probably cussed them out once I got out the car. So
you're making Public Enemy play in the background in my head. You're making Public Enemy play in the background.
It's like a mind. It's like a mind trip, and so it's like you really don't know how to feel. Yeah. Recently, I did have a white girl, and we were close, but I just feel like it's a bit suffocating right now, just because of all the work that I do, and I'm a single mom. I go through a lot of stuff myself as a Black woman. Our burdens are way greater than anybody else, even Black men. I'm sorry, it's just true because it's women. So I can't be a friend to her if she's calling and complaining about stuff that's insignificant. It irritates me, and it makes me feel crazy because it's like, girl, you a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, the world is yours. Go out there and get it. Why are you complaining to me about something that you could rectify? But me, I'm climbing mountains, not just one mountain, mountains, trying to get to where I want to be, just because I'm a Black woman. So, it's hard to be a good, caring, empathetic friend in that situation. It was hard. And she was woke. She's woke. She is aware. So, it was nice to be around her. It's nice to know that we're not alone. All white women are not our enemies. I've had wonderful, the first one that I talked about from high school, her mom recently died right after I had my son. I made sure I went to the funeral. I love her. Like I said, to this day, I love her mom. Her mom took me in. I didn't move in, but I'll be over her house all the time. And her mom treated me like a daughter. So, everybody's not racist. Sometimes it's just, like we said, it's the roots that they come from. And it's hard for them to erase that, the crazy thinking, the biased thinking, the, whatever it is that they were taught. It's hard to erase years and years of that. So that's been my experience. with it. I would recommend having friends from other cultures because the conversations are amazing if they're willing to have it, if they're willing to be honest. The things that you find out about them. I have a best friend that's Mexican from the west side of Chicago. She's actually getting married this weekend. I love Hispanics. I love Black women, diversify your circle because it will open up your eyes to the world and that there's a world outside of just Black people, because Black people don't always understand you. All skin folk ain't kinfolk, so.
Very good. All right. Ooh, okay. All right. So that took a little bit longer, but my follow-up was, I think this has already been answered. I was going to ask, do you freely share your daily life with her? That was one of the things that I was going to ask. Do you feel that you can be your authentic self around white women?
Yes.
Miss Yolanda?
Yes, ma'am, because I'm myself every day, all day, and I could care less who likes it and who doesn't. There was a couple of things that came in my mind.
So you don't need to wear that mask, right?
Oh, no, ma'am. I don't have time for that. No. And sometimes I'm told I'm too aggressive, and I was like, well, that's me. You don't have to like me. That is your choice. But I am who I am. But I wanted to share too, because I told you yesterday, my father was like, he was always, ever since I was little, beware of the messaging that you're receiving. And it's hard because we have messages coming inwards all day, every day from every direction, whether you're on social media or not, whether you watch TV or not, whether you read the newspaper or not. Once you walk out of your door, you have all type of messages coming to you. So one of the things I'm almost ashamed to admit is when I was younger, I thought that when bad things happened to certain women, that they were asking for it with the type of clothes they were wearing, where they were at, what they were doing. It wasn't until I got older and learned that, you know what, somewhere along the line, the messaging that I was receiving was incorrect. Because if I choose to go outside of my house in my bathing suit, that does not give anybody the right to rape me, attack me, or belittle me. That is my body, my choice, and it's not illegal. So it was like, oh, I have to really watch where this messaging is coming from. Let me figure out where I'm getting these ideas and these ideologies from. And so I just have to watch it every day. I'll be like, okay, what am I thinking and why am I thinking it? And what am I going to do about that? Do I like what I'm thinking? And so it's something you have to do daily, because there was a lot of stuff I was taught as a kid from other people that I was like, oh, I don't really feel like that. I don't believe that. We can do better than this. But it's a lot of people that they don't know where their thoughts come from. They feel the way they feel because their parents felt that way or grandma felt that way. And so because I work with children every day, I hear it so much. When they say stuff, I'm like, well, where do you get that from? That's what grandma says. You'd be like, oh. And so when I'm walking with them through what they're saying and how they think that makes other people feel, I'd be like, oh, well, what did I say? And how does that make other people? So that's how I get to analyze my own behavior. But it's like, wow, if people just sat down and analyze what they said and why they said it, how much kinder we will be to each other.
Very good point. Excellent. So, with that being said, my last question for this session is, how can we help in unifying Black and white women? Is there something that we could do?
Yes.
To make that happen?
Have more social events.
I was just gonna say, what does that look like? More social events?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
When I was in school, we had what was called International Day. International Day was the best day of the school year. Everybody would come in, they will bring something from their culture, they will share it, they will explain it, they will give a history behind it. And it was like, wow, this is so cool. And then in doing that, what did we really do? We learned about each other. We were excited to learn. Wow, or we would taste something. And even if you didn't like something, the first time I tasted that stuff, oh my God, it looks like cabbage, but it's not cabbage, sauerkraut. I was like, oh no, I can't. But it was an acquired taste. After you taste it about 5 or 6 times, you'd be like, okay, maybe a little bit. I can do it. I can do it a little bit. But it was like, it was so much fun. And everybody enjoyed those days. Everybody looked forward to it. And it's like, oh, but when we get older, where are those days?
I heard that. Okay. Thank you for that.
I feel like love is the answer when it comes to any of these type of topics. But I feel like it has to be a thing that both sides want, right? We can't only be having these conversations and they're not having the same conversations. Some of them are, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like as a whole, everybody that's responsible for this even being an issue need to take accountability. Apologies need to be made. And yes, I do feel like we deserve to be apologized because a lot of times pain won't heal until you really get that closure. Some people are strong enough to move past it, but I just feel like as a community, obviously we've shown we're not. So I feel like as a whole, reparations, we definitely deserve reparations. Every other culture has gotten reparations. The Jews got some money from the United States and we weren't even a part of, the Holocaust. So I feel like they try to say, oh, money won't solve, but you stop generations from obtaining wealth. You burned down and bombed our towns when we did rebuild. You kill our men, random traffic stops. You kill women too, rape us. All types of crazy stuff that they've done to us, flooding our communities with crack. It's a lot of stuff that's been done. So, hey, if you can't say it, then put your money where your mouth is and give us what you promised us. And what's owed to us. But also, like I said, really at the root of the matter, it's kind of, not to say bad, not to sound bad, but it's on them. They have to extend that olive branch.
Now you're making me channel Rihanna in my head.
we've been trying to work with them.
Now, but go ahead.
It's not on us to bend the knee. No, we ain't bending no knees. Period. We're queens. We not bending the knee. We not trying to rectify the situation because we need to heal ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But they've had the women's suffrage movement and they have what's it called? It starts with an M.
The Me Too?
The system that guarantees white women get jobs. It was really supposed to be for us, but and Hispanics, all the other people, but they benefit the most from those laws that were supposed to be set in place from us, so it's a lot that's happened, even just vote for Trump. Like, why are you voting for Trump? You don't even care about yourself, much less us. So love needs self-love on their part, self-love on our part, love coming together and you connecting at the very base level, whatever we have in common. Back to that commonality word you spoke. Whatever we have in common, let's touch bases on that and let's come together and get to know each other better because, like you said, at the end of the day, we're all women. It's no reason why we should have this animosity, this competition, this jealousy that's going on between the two sides.
I just want to piggyback on that it really is on them.
Exactly.
We do need to partner, and Black women have been here. You brought us over here, we've been here. And so now it's how do we move forward? And I feel like, we can have the kumbaya moment of we just need to love each other and we just need to experience each other. But it hasn't been for a lack of us being present. We have been pushed out of conversations, pushed away from boardroom tables, pushed out of homes, We're seeing Black women, like there's a group of Black women in Oakland now that are occupying homes so that single Black mothers have places to stay. And white feminism has existed the entire time. So I feel personally like they're not gonna pick up the mantle of trying to get to know us in sisterhood until they understand that the way that they oppress us actually oppresses them too. Because white women, when we say that Black and brown people are experiencing something, 3 or 4 or 5 times more than the white woman, that doesn't mean that she's not experiencing that. It means that we're experiencing it more. So if women are dying in childbirth, if women are being underpaid, if women are being disenfranchised, yes, Black women are experiencing that more, but so is your community. So it behooves you to turn around and look at who's behind you. Because if you're only focused on your rights, you're missing out on the whole crew of people behind you. And until we all get free, none of us are free.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that goes to speak to something in my notes that I wrote down. I just jot down things and then I create, what the body of what I'm doing. One of the things I wrote down is, if you don't fight for all women, you fight for no women. So that's exactly what you just said. So now we're going to move on to differences, the strength from which we pull. But before we proceed, does anybody else have anything to offer regarding commonalities? Okay. So differences, the strength from which we pull. So this is the place where we find ourselves in the midst of all that's happened and how, to a certain extent, we've overcome. So, if we've made some advancement, some achievement. So last night I asked you to have a photo of someone who helped you to become who you are as a Black woman. Tonight, I want you to share the ways in which you have found to give back, support, and encourage other Black women around you. So my first question is, and this speaks to us, it's related. Isn't it funny how we've mastered the statement, I'm fine? When someone asks you, oh, hey, I'm fine. Isn't that funny how we've mastered that?
Yes.
Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, because so typically I am fine, but I usually just tell them I'm blessed, because at the end of the day I am. But what it is, and they'll tell you, they ask the question, they don't really want the answer, and they'll tell you, when I ask this question, all I want to hear you say is I'm fine or I'm good, and just keep moving. And you'd be like, really? Then why you ask? But again, it goes to the messaging and what we've been taught.
Mm-hmm. So what happens when we don't say we're fine?
I think she was spot on. It builds from that, because you're so used to saying that in your day-to-day that it carries over to the people that you care about. So you get used to saying it. But I just feel like it goes back to last night when we talked about self-care, and just in general, that's all society is talking about these days. It's even a Snapchat filter. So, I mean, take care of yourself. You don't have to tell nobody your business, but you can go to therapy, because I'm one of the people, I'm not going to just sit. I have in the past, but that bites you in the booty with these people. So, I'm not just going to sit and tell you my business. Because I'm a writer, I write a lot of my feelings out. I really don't keep a journal because I'm not that organized to do that. Never have been. But if you feel suffocated, like you can't breathe, and you gotta let it out, you don't want to go to therapy, you don't want to talk to God, you don't want to talk to a pastor, whatever. Writing is always the thing that I would suggest. But yeah, take care of yourself, work out, eat healthy. The foods that you eat affect you. When I'm sluggish, tired, and lazy, you better believe I've been eating fast food for months. And when I'm bouncing around the wall like I used to as a little kid, that's because I've been being healthy. So, or I had some coffee. So, I mean, take care of yourself, love yourself, put yourself first, period. No matter who it comes to. If you're not okay, like Miss Yolanda said yesterday, then you ain't going to be able to take care of nobody else. So
that means that we have to look to that source of strength, things that strengthen us, so that we really will be fine. And we're not just saying, oh, I'm fine.
And go outside. The sun helps a lot.
And then underneath it all, you're crumbling, from the weight of whatever it is, because you're not really fine sometimes.
Oh, as someone that said that they were fine until they had to get locked up, yes. Yes, Black women, it's actually not normal, not natural for us to carry everything and to just keep piling on and piling on. And
but yet
it's
we
not
do.
weak to have experiences, but yet we do. And it's not weak to have experiences where you may be carrying everything, but you're depressed, you're anxious, you're suicidal. You may be having all these dark feelings, but you're getting things done. Bills are paid, job is clocked in, kids are taken care of, husband, man is taken care of. So Black women, a lot of times we are getting it done in a productive sense of things are being accomplished, but we're doing that under extreme duress. And so it really is, you do have to center yourself, but it's so challenging because the world doesn't really make a space for that. If a Black woman says she's not okay, what happens next? A lot of times it's just like, oh, she'll deal with it. She all right.
Because no one, it's like you're in a nightmare. No one will listen to you. You're standing there screaming, I'm not okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a Black woman, it's not the experience that not only do they not listen to you, but they immediately dismiss you, or they talk about how their experience is equally as bad or worse, or they ask you for something else. And so it's like, did I not just come to you and tell you I was just stressed, and then you ask me for 4 more favors?
Yeah, I know you're going through this, but I need you to do, yeah. Nancy, were you trying to say
it's
something?
Not fair. It's not okay.
I guess I live differently or something.
Okay, girl, go ahead.
When I say I'm not all right, people listen.
Okay.
They stop and they want to help me. Okay. But I think a lot of what Yolanda was saying, that back to the messaging, this is kind of slavery mentality passed along and along, because when you were a slave, you were quiet, no matter how you feel, no matter what happened. And I think it reflects.
You had to. Your life depended on it.
Right. And sometimes we still stuck there.
That's where we get keeping secrets from.
But
and sometimes
when you actually explore and find yourself and love yourself, then you have a voice. Yes. And if you ask me how I'm doing and I'm not fine, I'm going to say, no, I'm not fine. I might say I'm effed up. I need your help. I think it comes back to when you find your voice to no longer be quiet about things. If you're not fine, that you have to say, I'm not fine.
You have to stand in it and be heard.
Yes, and I think, the young lady was saying, Alessandra was saying about us taking on everything. That still goes back to back in the day, because that's what we did. We had to take on everything. When you were in slavery, if your husband got taken away or whatever, you was responsible for them kids. If the master came to you every night, that's something you had to take on. We're used to giving and giving and giving, and we don't really know how to receive. And so when somebody says, "Are you okay?" you don't want to receive that. I'm fine. So it needs to come to the point where you say, "No, I'm not fine. Can you help me? I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to walk with. I need whatever." It's kind of got to be on us as well to speak up and find your voice.
Nancy hit it on the head. She said exactly what I was going to say, that I feel like it's a generational thing, because a lot of times when you speak to family members that may have went through the same thing you went through, they're like, well, I made it through, so you should be okay. But it's like we not even the same person.
Yeah.
Like, we not even the. You didn't grow up how I grew up, and vice versa. You know, a lot of times I feel like because most women, and that's any race, have been sexually assaulted. A lot of times when somebody finds out that it's happened to you, is, oh, I'm so sorry, and then that's that. You know, same with abusive relationships and so on and so forth. And I feel like if you know that you've been through that, then show some empathy, because sometimes that's all we really need. We just need somebody that's going to tell us, hey, it's going to be okay. These are your resources. You can talk to this person. You can go here. Give solutions to problems rather than steady bringing up problems. If you know somebody is going through it, you know, and you know exactly what's wrong with them, you know, try to help them. I mean, we really have to start being a sisterhood, and not just to people outside of our circle, but also to the people close to us. Because I feel like sometimes we will let our close relationships kind of wane to let our public image be better. Like, you can't be out here I'm gonna use me as an example. I can't be out here being an activist, but I never talk to my mama and never go see my mama, never hug her, never kiss her, never make sure you hungry, you need some food. You know, you can't be taking care of people out in the community, but you're not taking care of your kids, you know, because even you quoted Alice Walker. I mean, her daughter wrote a bio about her, about how she was a horrible mom and how she felt because she was a feminist, that she didn't have to be a mom just because she had kids. She didn't have to take care of kids, you know. So all that glitter is not gold. If you want to be out all that in the community, you better be all that to the people around you, because how does that look when people out here ready to commit suicide, or, you know, they're doing whatever, but you're not, you know, they're going through something, but you're not, you know, trying to give them that life jacket. So, I mean, I just feel like we really have to band together. We have to learn tribalism all over again, because like Nancy said, it goes back, not even just, when I say generations, I don't mean my mom or my grandma. I mean, it goes back, just like my mom was talking about yesterday. It's trauma in our DNA from slavery. So, you know, we have to recognize that and be gentle with each other, be kind with each other, be loving with each other.
Okay. All right. This is some good stuff, you all. It is. So, how important are Black women to one another? You've essentially answered it, but how important are Black women to one another?
Critical.
Alessandra?
Black women are critical to each other, because literally, no one else can have a conversation and have that shared experience. And I think a lot of times that's all any of us are looking for, is just that somebody has a shared experience. And I mean, we can have the wonder of something, you know, outside of us, a different culture. But at the end of the day, when you come home, what makes family is they're actually familiar. So Black women offer each other an opportunity to be a safe harbor. Like Emma was saying, you know, there's plenty of times that we've shared stories with each other where we're talking about domestic violence, we're talking about sexual assault, we're talking about losing jobs, families, abilities to care for each other, being homeless. So a lot of times, I mean, you are your sister's keeper. You know, you're gonna support each other as best you can from where you are. But I just always try to remember when I'm dealing with other Black women that I don't know what her trauma is like. Trauma is not equal. You know, even when we're talking about things like domestic violence and sexual assaults, there are levels to this experience for every person. And you can never really quantify that. You should never try. You should just always be in a position of being loving and trying to understand as best you can from your perspective what that person may need. But also, furthermore, I think Black women are critical to each other, because when we ask each other for help, we know what we're asking for, you know, so you can really truly believe that this person is going to have my back, or this person is going to hold me down, because she understands where I'm coming from. And that's major.
I was going to say that. Go ahead, Nancy.
I was about to say, I think we got to get to that point. Like, I think like when we was asking about the white friend, I don't have that many black friends either. Because sometimes they, like they say, they think you bougie, they think you this, you stuck up, and you got all this, blah, blah, skippy woo. I think we got to get out of another thing that I think stems from slavery is the crab in the barrel. If I get up and then I climb up to the top and I look down and say, oh, well, and jump out the bucket instead of reaching back and help you out the bucket too. I think that's a point we have to get to. When we talk about women voting for Trump, there's a whole group called Black Women for Trump, which is sad. I wanted to throw up when I seen it. But so some of our sisters, some of us woke, but some of us ain't woke. And I think that makes it difficult to for us to have that sisterhood. That's like barriers to that sisterhood. And when I do want to say this because this is what I do every day. When somebody has been sexually assaulted and you having that conversation, the best words you can ever tell them is, I believe you. I believe you. I believe you, because that if you're the first person and you tell them that, because you don't know how many times if the police stop you, if you go to the hospital, I done seen all that, and where nobody has said that to that person and that person gets lost. But if they hear that first, that you believe me, that you're gonna validate my experience so that I'm not crazy. I didn't, I'm not making this up. Who wants to come in there and say, oh, I've been raped?
Yes.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And with DV, a woman goes back at least 9 times or more. So if that's your friend, instead of telling girl, I wouldn't go back, I ain't gonna never let no man hit me, blah, 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 blah. Don't tell them that. Say, I don't like the situation you're in. And I don't like what's happening to you. But you have to make your own choice. But I'll be there whenever you call or whenever you're ready to leave. That's more helpful than you sitting there saying about what you don't want to do. And, I can tell from personal experience that I was the main one said, a man ain't gonna never hit on me. I ain't gonna never go through this and everything else. And then when it happened to me, guess what? I ain't want to tell nobody. I ain't want to ask for no help. I ain't want to leave. Because why? Because just not too long ago, I'm saying, ain't no man gonna hit on me. I'm all this in a bag of chips. That wouldn't happen to me. I'm a former police officer. I'll take him down. You can't say what you never do until you get there. Because then when I got there, I had a whole different mindset. I wanted to save him. And I thought I could. But you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. So I think we essential to each other, but we got to learn how to be, we got to form that sisterhood. We got to get over these barrels and things of jealousy and, and gossip and looking. You know what else? About cheating. Guess what? If we this sisterhood, if we get to this sisterhood and that's your man, I'm not fit to sleep with him. I'm not fit to talk to him. We ain't gonna have nothing. Men couldn't cheat if we stood up. But sometimes we the other woman and go along with it thinking this is a good thing to do. Oh, he gonna leave her and he gonna be with me and blase, skippy woo. That's not where it's at. If we wasn't doing that, if we was standing strong as a sisterhood, who gonna cheat? Where you going? Because I'm not fit to take you in. I know that you Emerald husband. I'm not fit to sleep with you. Mm-hmm. We ain't fit to have a relationship.
She get into existence.
Fight with her. Or none of that. That's the sisterhood that we need to get to. The bonding that we need to have.
All right. Hopefully you're not preaching to the choir because everything you said is true. Yolanda, Miss Yolanda, look, you were going to say something. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I tell people all the time, I have a voice and I'm not afraid to use it, but my voice can't be the only voice that's being heard. So we are critical to each other. If we talk as a chorus, then they can't say, people can't come back and be like, oh, that's just Yolanda. Oh, it's just Yolanda. It's just Yolanda again. We can ignore Yolanda. But when we speak as a chorus, then we get heard and things get changed. But if it's just me always with my mouth, they'd be like, well, it's just Yolanda again. It's okay. She'll stop in a minute. Just don't pay any attention.
That's true. That's that dismissal of your voice.
Exactly. So we have to speak as a chorus. We have to all speak together. I'll be out front. That's fine. Because everybody's not designed to be out front. Because the person out front is the person that's going to get attacked. That's the person they're going to talk about. They're going to dig up stuff in your past and be like, well, you did this back in the day. That's okay. You could be the person in the background that write letters and don't sign them. That's okay. I'll sign my name to your letter. Let's go. But we got to speak as a chorus.
Like, I love it. I love it. Oh, gosh. Thank you, and Nancy. Oh, I love this. Anybody else want to add something to that?
I just wanted to add also just making amends. I mean, I see a lot of relationships, women having relationships, and then when something happens to disrupt the flow, there's this level of resentment that is so intensely magnified. And you have years of not speaking, or years of gossip, or years of backstabbing and browbeating and negativity and naysaying. We need to stop it. You know, it's time to forgive and move on. If I can forgive the man that cheated on me, why can't I forgive this girl, this girlfriend of mine, this friend that I've had for 15 years or 25 years? You know, we really.
Everyone's face is like, oh.
But just making those efforts, you know, and I'm not saying that we always have to be the one to extend the olive branch, but extend it anyway. And let's work on forgiving one another. And I think capitalizing on that element of love and not just talking about it, but being about it, making our words and actions match one another. And I don't mean to go to church on you, but scripture, First Epistle John, I think it's how can I say that I love God and hate my brother? Well, let's change that to how can I say that I love God and hate my sister? And I'll end with that.
All right, Emerald.
She went off. So first, I just want to add on to what Nancy said.
What they say? That'll preach. All right, but go ahead.
No, I agree with what everybody had to say to a certain extent, but I definitely want to add on to what Nancy said about sisterhood. And I just want to implore people to stop looking down on the Black girls from the hood. Some of my best loyal friends have been from the hood. Some of my most deepest spiritual, I believe in God and the universe and astrology, and I could read an encyclopedia book back to front. Those type of people, we have hidden gems in the hood. I mean, my mama from the hood, so you know, and you wouldn't know by looking at her or how she talk, how she carry herself, but she is from the hood. So we got to stop looking down on our people that we have to do away with classism, because that's the much bigger problem in the United States and the world, period. You know, you got the white people, like Miss Yolanda said, I had to think of who said it. If they would just realize we in the same boat, they probably would wake up and stop the nonsense. Like, classism really is what's divided us within every single race, you know, as well as colorism. But I just want to say to what Miss Pam said, I'm a very forgiving person. I agree with that, but to a certain extent. I feel like you have to love it. It goes back to self-love. You have to love yourself, and some people do not love themselves. So some people you cannot be friend. That girl that you slept with a man and you knew it was mine. No, we're not going to be friends again, because I can't even trust you. You know, you need therapy, Jesus, heal yourself, and maybe we can talk in like 30 years. But I'm still be watching you. You know what I'm saying? So some friendships are not mendable, and it's sad because I'm always the person. My mom can tell you I had a friendship breakdown right out of high school, and I was in my bed boo-hooing over a friend. I don't cry over men like that. I mean, that's a rarity. Minus when I was pregnant, but I was really crying because I was pregnant. I'm not a crier, but I was literally in bed crying over the breakdown of a friendship that I felt like would last forever. So, I love deeply. I feel everybody's emotions, but some people, you cast it out, and that's just what it is, because you're not gonna keep hurting me just so that you can feel good because you're my friend. That's not how this is going down. So like Nancy said, it all connects. Like Nancy says, be accountable. Stop trying to, be hot in the pants and be with everybody in. Sit yourself down somewhere. Carry yourself like a lady. Like, seriously. And I'm not telling nobody how to use their own body, but, you should have boundaries, and you should have some type of loyalty about you. Realize that at the end of the day, your sister, your friend is going to be there with you. I don't know what verse it is, but since we quote the Bible, God said, it's nothing better than a friend that clings to you closer than a sibling, basically. Paraphrase version.
Yes.
So friends are necessary. We need black girls. It's sad, but in this region, I don't really associate with any because we are not the same. We don't want the same things out of life, but I would never look down on nobody because of that, So you got to draw the line in the sand sometimes, unfortunately. But when time passes and time heals, and if they still on your heart, then yes, reach out, apologize. You might not have to apologize, but reach out and be like, I hope you're okay. I still love you. It is what it is. We might not be close, but I wish you the best if that's what's on your heart. But some people, yeah, you out there, and you need to just go ahead and do you. So, don't be nobody fool just because they're your friend. Just like you don't want to be a fool for a man. Don't be a fool for a friend.
All right.
I wanted to just add one little thing to that.
Okay, Miss Yolanda.
Because I've seen thousands of plays in my life, and I can't think of the name of this one particular play, but the message in the play was very, very real for me. And basically what this older woman told this young lady, because she had got cheated on, and the wife was mad at the little girl that cheated with her husband. And the older lady was looking at her, and she said to the wife, she said, in your old age, you fell for everything he said. So how can you fault this young girl for falling for the same lies you fell for? And I was like, whoa. Like for me, it was like, because we were quick to get mad at somebody real quick, but it's like, but we did the same thing. Like, what part of this did we play in this? And if we believed it and we fell for it, how can we fault somebody else for doing the same thing? It's like, hey, I'm gonna learn from it. I'm gonna help you learn from it, and we're gonna get through this together. Like, let's go.
I think it depends on the situation, because yes, you do have some situations like that, but then you have some women, and it's a special demographic of women that are overly aggressive and that will actively pursue a man just based off the fact that he might like you, interested in you, or you like him back, or whatever the case may be. So I agree with that, but again, don't be no fool. Don't get surprised. Like, it's like the story of the alligator and the snake. And the snake is like, "Ooh, Mr. Alligator, carry me across the lake." And the alligator's like, "Oh, sure, why not? Why would he kill me? He's gonna kill himself." What'd he do? Bite the alligator, and they both drown. So that, and I believe that's an African proverb. So I'm very forgiving, and I'm not making this up. I can't even tell y'all know the truth of these because my mom is on this thing.
I mean, you could.
I'm super forgiving. No, but she can. I'm saying you can back me up on that. Like, I don't hold. I'm so nonchalant. I don't care. I don't even care that you slept with him. But is you about to be my friend again?
Right.
No. I wish you well. Good luck in life. I might show you love every now and then if I see you. But then you got like Miss Pam said, they be holding animosity like you did them wrong. Like, what? I didn't even do that. I just existed. Who told you to chase after him? You knew that he was feeling me. Now you did that to yourself. So people have a lot of audacity, and I was walked over. Well, now I'm not gonna say walked over, but people tried to walk all over me. because I am very sweet. It might not come out as much anymore, but that's how I was as a kid. So, you know, people will try to walk all over you, treat you any kind of way. No, ma'am, I'm not doing it. And maybe that's why I've come off aggressive now. Maybe that's why people be like, "Ooh, Emerald ain't playing no games." Nope, I'm not. So don't play with me. Play with yourself.
But I wanted to add, especially since we are on this topic of cheating, like for Black women, I just want us to remember a lot of times when we're talking about sexuality, we're getting those rules from the dominant culture. And it's usually a white supremacist culture, and Black women, especially sexually, have been coveted for generations and generations. So we're talking about, you know, groups of girls that have been socialized that this is how you exert your agency out in the world. You wear your short shirt, you know, you have your body out, you trade in sex, because the dominant conversation when we're talking about men versus women is sex. So I want us to make sure that we put the accountability in the right places. Like if men are cheating, it's because he cheated. He was in a committed relationship with you and he broke his vow. And then for that girl on the other end, what were you seeking? Because I bet 9 times out of 10, there's a self-esteem issue rooted in there. So like if we're gonna say we're gonna, you know, have it right, she did not have her agency. So it's even that we want to be gentle with each other. I'm gonna make sure that whatever attitude or whatever repercussions I have are for that person that broke my vow. And then for my sister, maybe like Emerald said, I can't deal with you anymore because I can't allow you in a space where you're going to hurt me. But I also still wish you well. I want healing for you because I know that if you were a whole Black woman, you may have not made that decision or you may have not fallen for whatever sweet talk. Because let's not act like these guys don't be out here finessing situations too.
Yes, and I just want to clarify that I do not play no games when it comes to men. Ain't no she getting in, you ain't. I most of the time, like I said, I'm so nonchalant, I ain't even gonna say nothing to her. You know, but I've been in that situation where a friend, somebody that was my sister, if you ask me, yes, betrayed me and actively pursued somebody. And yes, at the root of the situation, she was probably still is insecure, you know. She's dealt with sexual assault and all this other stuff. But hey, if you run around doing this to all your friends, now I'm sorry, I gotta cut you off. And it's all love. Wish you the best. I love you, but it's nothing else to talk about because
again, gotta keep yourself safe.
That's where self-love comes in. Yourself safe. Once again, yeah. So no, but yeah, no, I agree with you.
One more thing I want to add is a lot of times these type of things are what allow other communities to victimize us. So if, you know, if for me, I mean, I've had multiple experiences of sexual assault in my life through my childhood and my adult life. And every single one of those experiences was an African-American male, somebody close enough that other Black women could have seen or should have seen, or maybe did and chose to keep quiet. And a lot of those same rules that we'll use to judge the woman next to us, oh, maybe she was wearing a short skirt. Maybe she, you know, maybe she shouldn't have been wearing her PJs in the house when such and such came over. Like we give Black girls these rules even in their safe spaces. So it's sometimes I feel like it gets lost that a lot of these things are tactics to oppress and victimize. And usually that's coming from a group of people outside of us. So if we know that, like, let's keep each other closer, you know, but like Nancy was saying, we have to be in a space where that's safe. Like Emma was saying, I can't just let anybody in here, but I also want every girl, especially every Black girl, to know, like, you're not crazy. We believe you. Yes, these white men are out with their families and making comments towards you. Like I worked at the movie theater at Carasotas, and I cannot tell you how many white husbands came back to that front desk, and I was 18, 19 years old, and they made every cream in the coffee comment that they possibly could once they set their families down inside that movie theater. So like we are always being pursued and under attack. So don't internalize that as something that is about you. It's not about you. It's about the people and the way they're looking at you.
I want to just say that rape is about power. It's about taking power and control. So sometimes when I go to the hospital to see a client, I might tell them I can be butt naked on the bus with a sign saying I want to have sex. If we get to your house and I say no, and you take it anyway, you assaulted me. You broke the law. You raped me. So it really doesn't have to do with what you wear or where you at or how you drunk you are. It's the point that that person wants to have power and control over you. And I was telling somebody that, and it's like, oh no. I said, okay, well, explain why senior citizens in a nursing home get sexually assaulted. They ain't got on no fancy dress. They ain't, they're not drinking or getting high or whatever else. They just laying there. It's not about that. It's about the power and the control. And 99.9 times, you know the person that did it. It's not the boogeyman on the street, the man hiding in the alley. It's usually somebody in your family. And we as a community, as Black people, like to sweep stuff under the rug and be quiet about it. And then it goes on from this person to the next cousin to the sister, when we could have stopped it way back when. But we choose to be quiet. And I think that comes back to, we don't want Black people already look bad, okay? We don't want to get on the news. We don't want to see this Black man on the news that they did this, or this is Uncle so-and-so, and I don't want to see him going to jail, well, okay, don't send him to jail. Send him to some help, but don't stop and don't tell anybody and sweep it under the rug and keep on walking like everything is okay. And if it happens, make sure, especially with young women, you get some counseling. We as a community, as a people, don't want to go to counseling. We think it's a bad thing. Counseling is not usually where you can lay on the couch and some white person sits there and says, oh, okay, yes, and what did you do next? Counseling, you think of counseling as talking to your very best friend. And guess what? This best friend can't tell nobody. I don't care how much she want to gossip. You can't tell. If sexual assault is a misdemeanor, like I could go to jail if I come counsel you and then I go tell the whole world, well, Sally, the girl live on the corner right there, she got raped. You can't do that. So think of it as going to your best friend who will listen to everything you got to say and then offer you resources. I say resources, not choices, resources. Because I can't make the choices for you. You need to make the choices for yourself. I want to give you your power back. Somebody took it away, but I'm going to give it back to you. So you give them resources, places they can go, where they can get help, but not choices. I never tell somebody, oh, it's going to be okay. Because I don't know if it's going to be okay. I can't tell you that. But I can tell you, I believe you. I'm here for you. We got a 24-hour hotline. You can call back and talk to me. But never it's going to be okay. Never.
Very powerful and very necessary words on tonight. So now we come to the point where, and it's been referenced, and that's why those questions have been asked of you all. But I just wanted to let you all know that we were talking about self-care last evening, and we've been touching on it today too. And then just got through talking about how we can take care of one another as Black women and how important we are to one another. I just wanted you to know that self-care is a term that was originally coined by Black feminist Audre Lorde, who said, caring for myself is self-preservation, and that is an act of political welfare. So that means it's a battle to be, a very necessary battle to be at that. So moving forward, I want to ask something that's encouraging and uplifting. What gives you peace? What gives you peace?
Shopping. Shopping gives me
Oh, that's
peace,
right.
especially if I can find a sale.
Okay.
Get something for a deal.
Okay.
Shopping is one of the things that's my self-care. Maybe go get my nails and my feet done and go shopping.
And I think that transcends
See me.
both races of women.
Yeah.
Who
That's
else?
one of the things.
For me, I have anxiety, so it's kind of hard for me to find complete total peace. But I've noticed when I work out, when I eat healthy, and when I'm deep into spirituality, that's when I feel the most settled within myself, even if other stuff is going on in my life. Praying and keeping my mind and ear open to hear from God, talking to other people about spirituality, even just for me, maybe that's why I want to do radio television, but I love stuff like this, like doing my podcast, having intellectual conversations. I fell in love with those fresh out of high school and college when we just used to be up in the middle of the night doing stuff we weren't supposed to be doing, drinking and all that stuff. And it would be girls and boys and we would sit down and it'd be like a big circle and we would just talk till the sun came up. But it would be really thought-provoking conversations. So I've never forgot that experience. I've always, I don't know, like I'm not a big talker in real life, but when it's like a focused conversation about things that matter, that can help advance us as a people or just women or just our mental health, that's my jam. I love it. Music, definitely doing it and listening to it. And I mean, that's proven through health people and science, like music just helps me a lot. So writing, stuff like that. Being outside too.
Okay. Miss Yolanda, what brings you peace?
I like worldly music and TD Jakes. I have to mix them together to get a good balance. But
well, I mean, I know someone who is saved, but they like ratchet music. That's what they like, and I'm like, okay, but go ahead.
it works. You'd be like, okay,
and I trap music, but go ahead.
right, not the trap music, but this morning I went to work listening to DMX. Lord, give me a sign. Like, oh, they were like, oh, yes, that's how I'm feeling this morning. Let's go.
Okay, all right. Miss Alessandra, what gives you peace?
So definitely the trap music.
Yes, period. City girls.
Yes, like Meg Thee Stallion, City Girls are definitely giving me life right now. But no, I love music. I listen to pretty much everything. Like when I was in high school, I listened to a lot of rock music. I was always kind of that odd black kid, if you will. But I try to find the God in everything because I feel like most artistic expressions are just that. They're expressions of where people are coming from. So you could mostly find some type of spirituality in it or some type of lesson in it. But for my mental health, I agree with Emerald. It's getting outside. Like recently I've started sun gazing. So I go out at sunset or sunrise and I just kind of stare at the prettiness, look at the sunset, the colors, look at the sun, how beautiful it is, and just have that moment of peace where I'm not really thinking about anything. And I found that was something that allowed me to do meditation without doing meditation in the traditional sense, because I found as a Black woman, it was difficult for me to turn down my thoughts. Like the checklist would just keep popping up and popping up. But when I go out and I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm going out to stare at the sunset. I don't have to think about it as meditation. It's just me looking at beautiful nature, being productive in my own way, having my own expression. I love to sing. I love to talk, obviously, working with the podcast right now in sterile processing. And then I think beyond that, just making sure that I have time to commiserate with my lineage, talking to my family, my ancestors, my friends, the folks. I say all the time about drinking the water where I come from, because as I've traveled to California, I've been across the Midwest, and I'm out on the East Coast, and there's never, no matter where you go, there's never going to be anything like where you came from. So just being able to plug back in with the people that knew you before the people knew you, kind of thing.
Right. Nancy, what brings you peace?
She said shopping.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Miss Pam, what brings you peace?
Many of the things that others have already named. I do love working out, dancing, singing, but I don't want to not share this because it is a form, but I would say in great moderation, having a nice glass of red wine.
All right. Hey, everything in moderation. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, so I definitely forgot that. Drinking.
Yeah, I could say some other things, but we not gonna see that. Being by myself.
Me and Emerald gonna stay out of this one. Okay?
Yeah, I do want to say that that's something that's underrated because a lot of people cannot be by themselves. But I always been like, I don't know. Sorry, Mom, I gotta say that you can back me up because it's true. I just always been quiet and like to myself. But for real, when you tap in with yourself, when you can have peace, just being like, that's honestly, before everything else, that's the number one thing I always do, just separate myself from people. If I'm at an event and I feel overwhelmed, I go home. If I'm at my parents' house and I feel overwhelmed, I go home. It don't matter where I'm at. I'm going home to be by myself with my own thoughts so I can calm them down and be peaceful and settle within my spirit, you know, because a lot of people don't realize that other people's energy rubs off on you. So you got to take some time to be by yourself so that you can reset and be okay.
Well, you know what? That's what Dorothy said when she was clicking them Ruby Hills together. There's no place like home. And so when she got back to the normalcy of what she was used to and got time to see the people that she loved, like Alessandra was hitting on, no place like home. One of my favorite movies from childhood, but yes. So
I think I want to say this, Erica.
Okay, Nancy, go ahead.
Trying to play off of what Emerald said.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us, especially probably the older generation,
Mm-hmm.
we were brought up to talk that we need somebody. You have to have somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So from 17 to 40 something, I had to have somebody, whether they was good, bad, whatever.
Yes. Yes.
But when I finally got divorced, it took a minute. I was crying every day because I'm like, I don't know how to take out the trash. I don't really drive. You know, I didn't know how to do anything.
Right.
By myself. I didn't want to go nowhere by myself.
Because you let yourself.
Couples, I'm the odd person. I feel like that person, you know, maybe when you get in a relationship and you get married and it's good, they should complete you. But right then and there, I hadn't completed me. Mm-hmm. So it's good to learn how to be by yourself.
Right.
You know, I missed all that. I never had an apartment by myself. I never lived by myself. I didn't know none of that. It was like starting all over again. But it was the best experience of my life. Because while I was getting to know myself, I was falling in love with myself. You know, because that was missing previous to this. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing that you can't go off and be by yourself. You don't feel like you got to be connected. I ain't got to call Jane and Susie and everybody else to talk about what's going on. I could just be by myself and get with myself.
Mm-hmm. It's a dangerous line though. Like, not you, Nancy, but just in general, the people that's watching or panelists, if you don't practice just being by yourself, don't do it too much. Don't isolate yourself too much because then, you know, it can affect your mental health. So you don't want to be by yourself too much, which is kind of what I have.
We have our licensed clinical professional on. I'm sure she can speak to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is absolutely 100% accurate. You want to have a balance of sorts and be able to cherish, nurture you, but then also add in other people. Being too much of a loner can have a harsh impact on your mental health.
And I wanted to stop and say to you ladies that it was very important for me to have someone on, because I know that there are triggers and things that might pop off, as former President Barack Obama said. And so I wanted to make sure, it was very important to me that I had someone on hand with the knowledge and experience to deal with that, you know, if it were to occur. So I am so grateful for Pam. I'm so grateful. So thank you. So my next to last question, in celebrating the beauty of Black culture, because again, I'm loosely tying this in with B, and you all talked about the cheating and all of that, and you know, the famous thing that happened with her, which may or may not have been connected. I don't know if it was verified or not, you know, that's their business, but the elevator thing fight where Solange was jacking up Jay-Z in the elevator and Beyonce was just to the side, just like nothing was happening. And, you know, we've gone through this. Sometimes you become, it's like you become, I guess, anesthetized to different situations. But all at the same time, while all of this stuff has happened to her, she's visually showing us the beauty of life in Black culture. So in celebrating the beauty of this Black culture, I asked you what brings you peace, but think about this. What brings you joy? What brings you joy symbolically, visually, lyrically, musically? It could be any one of those things. And remember, lyrically, you know, that's words to a song. Musically, that's the instruments, the musicality of everything. Visually, things you see, and symbolically, like, wow, that meant that. So what brings you joy? Remember, joy is different from peace. So
I think for me, I mean, definitely we touched on music. So I'm a heavy music listener. I usually have it on no matter what I'm doing. And so that's always something that can bring me some joy and definitely change my mood. You know, doing some things like seeing art exhibits, or really for me lately, it has been just taking walks and going out into nature. And I'm out there taking pictures like I'm the National Geographic, and I'm like, "Ooh, there's a flower, and look at the bark on this tree." But really allowing myself, because in the beginning I was talking negatively to myself. I had that self-critic going like, "Girl, you could be doing a million things. You standing here looking at this tree, and you and you could be doing that." But ultimately, I found it made me happy, so I posted. It seems to spread joy, so I enjoyed that too. I enjoy feeling joy and spreading joy, or having someone come up to me and say, you know, I felt better when I walked away from you. That makes me feel lifted too. So those are the big things for me. And then I think the last one that I feel like on a symbolic level is anytime I can see Black people excel or win or have some form of bondage removed from them. As a community, is so much fun. Like being able to go to that Black Panther showing, as far as it
oh my
opening at
gosh.
Air Night, right?
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
for
That was
generations,
epic.
it was
That was
epic.
epic.
Like to go to the movie theater and see a sea of Black people adorned for specifically to have pride in their skin tone and their heritage. It was like, where are we? And we all got an opportunity to feel like we were in Wakanda and have that in everyday life. So I really enjoyed that.
Yes, my husband and I have to say, we dressed up for that and had the time of our life. And it was so funny because someone we know commented, because I was like so excited leading up to, you know, the premiere, and I was posting and everything. And someone said, "You do know that this is not real. And why are y'all talking about y'all dressing up? And why y'all?" I said, "Excuse me. I know what this is. So guess what? I'm going to express myself culturally, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm sorry that you don't understand that, but here's what I'm doing." So yeah, that was so joyful. It's like, oh, I am so sad that he is not here for part 2. That is just too much to even think about, but I hear that they're going to do a part 2. So I don't know what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, but he will be sorely missed because he was a light.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to take over your statement, but I just got so excited when you brought that up. It was just like, oh my gosh, memorable.
Very, and like living in Oakland really changed my perspective too, because it's one of the only cities I've been in that Black people are celebrated. I mean, they definitely have the same issues where they've relegated us to a certain side of town and all that fun stuff. But if you go downtown, there's big murals of little Black girls, Black women, Black families. It really changes the perspective when you can walk outside and see yourself in a positive light consistently. It gives you a place to be grounded from.
One of the reasons that I create the product that I create is just because of that. Growing up in the greeting card industry, you did not see us on cards. Our beauty was not commonly expressed. And all I could understand was, look, even though I'm from, 3300 block of Flournoy on the west side, look, there's a culture there. I see on Sunday morning the little girls that are like me, and they're dressed to the nines because their mother dressed them and their hair was done. And no, everybody didn't have a pinch of hair all the time. Most of the time when you see that going on, it's because someone's not caring adequately, for their child. But so I want to convey, and have always wanted to convey, that other standard of beauty is not the standard of beauty that I hold, because I know that we are absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. And so I strive to do things that, we could look at and say, wow, someone told me I could feel the energy coming from what you're doing. And someone told me, it made me cry when I saw that. It's like, oh, so yeah, to see ourselves is self-actualization, at work, to know that we matter, to know that we're worth something. And it isn't all about, what's whitewashed. And of course, all of this is not to say that everyone, here we go, doesn't matter. Here we go, the Black Lives Matter and everyone's matter. But we're just talking about us and our experiences because they are real and genuine. So yeah. So anybody else, what brings you joy?
Music brings me joy, and I know we've talked on it, but
yes, music is phenomenal.
Yes, I could really relish in something smooth and get joy from "I Am Light" by India Ari.
Oh, child.
Go so far left and listen to "Track Star" by Mooski, or Young Blues. I mean, there's just so many things.
Right, it's diverse.
Creativity.
Yeah.
It brings me joy that we are such a unique and wildly creative group of people.
Well, you got the origins of mankind.
So much talent, and I could just kind of like spend hours and go from one genre to the next, and just allow it to permeate my mind and the depths of my soul, and then come out even a better person. Some lyrics can help empower you and inspire you. Some can help you lament and reflect on things of the past and come to even resolve in your life.
Do you have a favorite song?
No, I have so many.
Can't do it. Can you name one of them?
Well, I'll start with a favorite artist.
Okay,
Stevie Wonder.
Why did I know you were going to say that? Because that's mine too, but go ahead.
But pick one song from Stevie Wonder? No.
Well, no, you can't. You can't, but I will say that I fell in love with My Sharia Moore when I was a little girl. And so every time I hear it, it just takes me to another place. I love that. I love Rocket Love. All I Do, That Girl, just so many. Yeah, he is just, and he's a phenomenon. He is a He's a prolific prodigy. He's just everything. Yes, Stevie. So I didn't mean to take over your stuff. Again, I just got excited. So yeah, music brings lots of joy. Lots of joy. In the words of Anita Baker, you bring me joy. You could tell I love music. So
that's what's been playing in my head the whole time.
Really? So yeah, anybody else want to share? We're getting close to wrapping up now. I have one question after this, but anybody else want to talk about what brings them joy?
Beyonce. Period.
Okay.
To know me is to know
you
that I love
you were gonna be in the
Beyonce.
house for lemonade night, huh?
I know. To know me is to
And
know.
this isn't even how it was going to be, but in the spring it's gonna be something else.
To know me is to know that I'm slightly obsessed with Beyonce. It's not when I was younger, I used to sit at the computer desk and just watch videos of performances. All my DVD, I have so many DVDs. I even got the little picture book for your coffee table. But somebody bought that for me for a Christmas present. But I love her because she's so unproblematic, even though people try to make her be, because they envy her success. They try to attribute it to her being light-skinned. Even her own father was like, I don't think she would be as far as she was if she wasn't light-skinned. And it's like, why would you even...
He said that?
Yes, because he tried to compare her to Kelly Rowland. And it's like, I love Miss Kelly, but Calandria, you didn't work as hard as Beyonce did. And that's the difference, So I love her because I feel like, she's an inspiration to me. I be stealing her hairstyles. Sure do. I went blonde with the thought of Beyonce. So,
well, I did do some
joy.
Wait a minute. I did do a little bit of Baby Hers.
Some baby hairs.
A little bit of Baby Hers on here.
She's infamous for baby hairs with the braids. So I love her. But beyond that, I really love rap music because, like you spoke about lyrics. Some rappers can be so lyrical. Like people only common people, they only know like the Jay-Z hits, but like he has a lot of deep, profound music. He's very poetic, and that was my first talent that I tapped into is poetry. So I appreciate his pen deeply, not just because that's Beyonce's husband. That's separate. I started liking them before they was even together. So I love how deep he is. I love Biggie. I love how he tells stories. So like you could literally see the stories that he paints. I love J. Cole, people like that. But beyond music, I find what brings me the most joy lately, like in my adulthood, is accomplishing goals, like losing weight, making sure that I'm disciplined, having a routine, you know what I'm saying? Being a light in the world, being an activist has brought me a lot of joy. Being a mama, it's hard, but, my son is just so amazing. So that brings me tons of joy. But yeah, don't sleep on complete goals, because that's what is fulfilling me the most out of anything right now in life. Like just graduating, it was so surreal. So I couldn't really just live in that moment, but completing that goal was a lot to me. So, just chasing after, the I guess what Drake calls it, the lust for life, just chasing after success and completing goals is what's brought me the most joy.
Miss Yolanda?
So I want to say this really, really quick. The brown paper bag phenomenon is real. It may not be as prevalent now as it used to be, but it is definitely real. But what brings me joy is two things. I like, and it's going to sound weird, but I like laying in my bed under my comforter with the air on with just my thoughts. I love that. And I love eating a good meal. Those things bring me great joy. I just like being by myself because I'm with people all day. So when I'm alone in my alone time, I am the most joyous ever.
All right. Who hasn't answered that? Okay.
Everybody answered.
Okay. All right. So this is our parting question for the evening.
1 second.
Go ahead.
There was a question. Did you see that question that came up?
Okay, let me see.
Oh yeah, it was a good question.
Oh my gosh, I'm not seeing it.
It was asked, it was like, how do Black women feel about the negative way they are portrayed in some forms of Black music?
Uh-oh. All right, who wants to address this? Because it's to the panelists. This is not showing up on my end. Oh, I'm sorry. So I didn't see that.
So, yeah. I mean, historically speaking, it's clear it's not positive. Like when I think about growing up in the 90s with BET, one of the big things was BET Late Night. And those videos were all basically like Atlanta strip club culture.
Trash.
And that's what, I ain't gonna say trash, but
trash. Go ahead.
It was not the image that I needed.
No little eyeball shouldn't have been up looking at that, but go ahead.
Right. There's also that. But I mean, fast forward to today, not a lot has changed. I think what we see now is Black women are starting to own that for themselves and starting to make money off of that for themselves, which I think is different. And I think it's an interesting conversation because like, this is so perfect. So I just recently came home to Carbondale to visit, and I was just kicking it with the cousins, my brother and a few folks, and we were just watching music videos. And when Meg Thee Stallion came on the screen, everyone was captivated, right? I feel like she's one of those type of artists where women are looking at her, men are looking at her, right? I'm with you. But the conversation, the song was not her song. She was featured on someone's song. And I don't want to be too vulgar, but the man's song was basically about a sexual act. The whole song, from the title to the lyrics to everything. And we were just listening to it in the background. But when her part came on, the men in the house were immediately, oh, what the? Oh, she can't say that. She can't say that. And I had to ask them, I'm like, wait a minute. We literally just got done listening to 4 minutes of this man talking about this. But when it was her turn, now all of a sudden, we need to clutch our pearls, like catch a grip. So I think there's part of it is like, we want to be careful about the way that Black women are being portrayed, especially in the sense if it's a monolith. Like it would be one thing if we were seeing a wide mix of various women expressing themselves various ways. But a lot of times in the music industry, we only see us one way. And that I think that is damaging to us in the whole.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with the way we're portraying videos. Again, my father was very militant. So I grew up watching positive Black people in images my whole life. BET, as I got older and cable came more, because when I was little, we didn't have cable. But as I got older and cable became more of a thing, I was like, I couldn't watch BET because even though they played the best movies ever, the commercials were too much for me. One of my friends just asked like, hey, have you ever eaten at Hardee's? And I was like, girl, no, because their commercials offended me as a young teenager. I just couldn't do it. I was like, who eats burgers like that? Now they've cleaned up the commercials and now I'm willing to give them a try. But it was just like, back in the day, I was like, no, that was not a restaurant that decent people went to. That was the restaurant for those street walking people and those people that, portray, they like to spend time with people like that. But it was like, oh. And she was like, I don't remember those commercials. I was like, girl, I don't know where you was because they were everywhere. I was like, they got this on TV.
Paris Hilton was in one.
I do. I remember that.
I was just like, that looked like an STD waiting to happen.
Okay, ladies. Well, we are quickly nearing the time for us to depart. And I appreciate all your responses. And this has been phenomenally wonderful. So my last question.
Can I say something about that music question?
About the videos.
Okay, very quickly.
I got
both of them. Okay. What?
Sarah Bartman, who was a slave who was taken over to Europe.
Yes. The Hottentots.
her butt. People paid to touch her and everything. That's what I think about when I see those videos of us half dressed, of us being called B, and you know the rest of the word. I just think it's disrespectful, and I think it makes other people of other races look down on the Black woman. If you don't know that story, you need to look it up. You need to see it's a whole movie, and that's often played with the videos we have nowadays, but showing what we went through as slavery, and now we out here doing it for free.
Yeah, so what's anybody's opinion on?
Not for free.
You know, there's a very popular thing that went on here back in the fall, and some of the young people at work tried to ask me if I knew what the acronym was, and it was Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. And so some people would say that, oh, it's different. Like you, Alessandra, was saying, oh, when she said what. So when we do it, what does that mean? When we hypersexualize ourselves, what does that mean?
Okay, so I just wanted to say to both questions, I'd be conflicted because even though my parents locked up BET, MTV, VH1, yes, they did. Miss Yolanda, you're not the only one with parents that did not play about messaging. My older siblings, they would unlock it for me, you know. YouTube, Mama, I've been told you that. And then YouTube around too, you know. So I was raised by Trina, just to be honest. That's one of my favorite rappers to this day. I just watched her versus Eve, and everybody thought Eve was gonna win, and Trina was
just Rihanna with her
like a star. You know, I was raised by Rihanna. I was, you know, even though she's only a year older than me, she became popular when I was like a freshman, sophomore in high school. I was raised by the Yin Yang twins. We here to the window, to the wall at all the homecoming dances. And you know now, I think people know in 2021 what that song was about. So, I mean, who else? Gucci Mane. I had an older brother, his best friend would ride around playing Webby and Boosie. What the song was? Girl, give me that. Girl, give me that. Girl, give me girl. You know, so it doesn't offend me, but I know better, if that makes sense. Like it just doesn't offend me because hip hop is hip hop. You have people that think in that vibration. You have people that's all they think about is sex. You have people that's all they think about is drugs.
What you're saying is it is okay to then, I guess, in a way, marginalize yourself or make cheapen yourself.
I'm not saying that. I feel like it's the listeners and the audience responsibility to make conscious rappers popular again. It's the listeners and the audience responsibility to go on Livewire and all these other websites, allhiphop.com, et cetera, and find those jewels. Go support Rhapsody. That's one of my favorite rappers too. I feel like we gotta realize that man is full of dualities, and just because you listen to the City Girls, because Twerkulator is one of my favorite songs right now, that don't mean that I'm not intelligent and might not watch a speech that Angela Davis did on YouTube. You know, so there's two sides to every coin. I love Megan Thee Stallion.
What do you think of the statement, garbage in, garbage out?
I feel like at the end of the day, you control your environment. You control your mental mind space. So that's why I said you can't just only listen. I also listen to gospel music. Old school music is my favorite type of music. You know, no, I'm just answering. You know, you got to be diverse, and you can't leave it up to artists to raise your children. Just like my parents took the time to lock MTV, BET, VH1 down, even though I hated it, especially because I love music. But when I got in, it was like, ooh, I'm in. But I always carry that lesson with me to protect the innocence of your children and the youth. So, you know, don't blame Cardi B and Megan for WAP and then be like, my 13-year-old is sick. Why your 13-year-old even know that song? Like, why she feel comfortable singing around you? She should be hiding that. Not saying that you should hide stuff from your parents, but it should be a level, you know, we're not friends. It's a level of respect and do you, but be respectful. So, shout out to Trina.
I
Okay,
do want
lady.
to make the delineation. I really don't see it as garbage. I really don't see it as trash.
Mhm.
Especially when we're talking about sisterhood, we can't forget sex workers. A lot of Black and brown women, that is how they make their living, and there's a trade for that. So I don't want anyone to walk away from this thinking that we feel that you're less than because that's the choice of work or the way you choose to express yourself. But I do think there is a line between agency, like as an older Black woman now listening to that music, it's just a mood, right? It's just a way that I'm carrying myself in the moment or what I'm listening to. Maybe I'm getting dressed to go out with my girls, or, maybe I'm feeling some type of way about an argument with my boyfriend. I'm not necessarily co-signing this and saying this is the way I want to live my life every day. But yeah, sometimes that's me. And I'm every woman. Like Sojourner was saying, I'm every woman. I will be that ratchet girl in the street. I will be that well-spoken woman in the boardroom. None of that diminishes me anytime I'm expressing that.
And also to add on to that, just because you listen to that music, like she said, it doesn't mean that that's how you carry yourself. Lots of time, like when I started working out again, I listened to all female rappers, and that was so empowering to me. Like I literally could listen to female rappers from start to beginning and never even think about a man. Bodak Yellow by Cardi B is one of the most inspirational songs to this day to me, just because of that connects with my generation. That's our lingo. We know what she talked about, that hunger. She don't want to strip no more. She done made some money. I'm not no stripper. You not no stripper, but everybody was singing
But
Bodak
now
Yellow.
the argument could be that even though she's not, look what she's really doing in front of the world. In it the same type of thing. But I'm just gonna leave that right there because, like I said, we need to bring this home. We need to bring this home. Your thoughts, your opinions are certainly valid. Okay, this is the place where it's heard. So, last, Miss Yolanda, very quickly, if you got something to say.
I was just going to say, for me, it's soft porn. That's what I call it. And for me, because my ears were so guarded as a child, I could only listen to the radio version, and only for so long. The explicit version literally hurts my ears. I'm like, I can't believe that it's coming out of somebody's mouth. And so that's me.
I hear you.
We had another question that said, what about the kids who think the music is the truth?
What about the kids who think the music is the truth?
Those are
opportunities.
Okay, so one person answered this, and then we're going to do our last question. Pam, go ahead.
I was saying it's an opportunity to educate. It's an opportunity to have a dialogue. We need to stop with the secret keeping and trying to guard and hide and sit down. Maybe everyone listen to the song together and dissect it and talk about it. And maybe help a young person recognize the differences between artistic expression and what it means to be creative in lyrical content, and that it's entertainment sometimes and not always something that you must be living your life as. It's important that we just open those dialogues up.
Thank you. Thank you. So, last question of the evening. Ladies, this is quick. This is a fire round. So come on with it. If you could have dinner, because I love when I hear this, if you could have dinner with anyone Black, famous, historical, living, family, who would it be and why? Real fast.
Jesus.
What would you and Jesus be eating?
Some steak and potatoes, some cooked grilled veggies. He needs some wine because he loved the wine. And we just
he turned the water into wine. I don't know if he
was drinking wine, and he was a common man just like everybody else. He might have drank some whiskey too.
Don't put that on Jesus now.
He didn't get drunk, but he might have got a little buzz,
Okay, anyway, Miss Yolanda.
Michelle Obama.
Ooh.
Because she's in this time and in this era.
Auntie Michelle.
yes, we could talk about some things, and I think she could put me on the right track to things that I want to do anyway.
What would your dinner be?
I could care less. I'm sure it'll be something healthy because that's what she's into.
Okay.
And I'm sure it'll taste good because that's what she's into.
All right. Alessandra.
I wanted to cheat and say ISIS and Center Commit, but I think if I really had a choice, right? I think if I really had an opportunity, I would like to have dinner with Harriet Tubman. I would love to ask her questions about the level of courage and purpose that she must have felt to get out and turn around and come back. And I think from that perspective,
because to do it once was something.
Was something.
But yes, but to turn around
and she did it multiple times. And understanding that concept of having to argue with somebody to get free, like the courage that she had to have is just phenomenal. I think what we would eat is just something probably vegan and healthy to make sure she stayed full of strength to do the Lord's work.
Wow. Okay, Nancy.
Well, Harriet Tubman was my
that was your answer.
My answer.
Okay, well,
if I had to do somebody else, they have to be famous, right?
No, I said living or dead, and then I said family, famous, or historical.
Oh, then I'd like to talk to my great grandmother.
Okay.
Who passed before I was ever even born, and I'm named after. I know she was a slave. I would like to have had a conversation with her and get some more deeper family history about and how it was to actually, I mean, we see it in movies and stuff, but to actually talk to somebody who lived it would be a whole different ball game.
Right. Okay. Emerald, did I say you already?
Yeah, I said Jesus.
Okay.
But another person would be my great grandma too. Because I never met either on either side, and all of my great grandmas were phenomenal. So I would love to sit down with them.
Ham.
Maya Angelou.
Ooh.
We would have wine and cheese.
Ooh.
And I would really, really want to talk to her about how she developed the resiliency.
Oh, yes.
And the strength to just come back and be as phenomenal as she truly was after so much trauma. And just really, really just have a heart-to-heart discussion with her.
Wow. Okay, as we close, I'm going to ask you all this. As I closed last night, I left you with a statement: changing attitudes and behaviors changes lives and relationships. This is both real and relevant. If one person makes the effort and moves beyond our differences and is met with the same authenticity, progress is made. Closing out would be, all right, ladies, time to get information. Talking about that sisterhood. Okay? So that's what we got to do. And so thank you for joining us this evening. I appreciate all of your wonderful and keen observations and thoughts. I pray blessings for you. And when we meet up on Sunday night, we're going to be, she's saying, I slay. See, I like that. We got the slay. See, that's why I say I don't agree with everything. But So anyway, when we meet up on Sunday night, which I look forward to, and we wrap up, it's all about positivity and affirmations. All right. Ladies, have a wonderful evening. To the audience, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to